Hello and welcome to another Writerly Witterings with a different sort of a setup today, because I've got a nice new Fuji X100V which is flashing at me to say it's recording. I'm going to have to turn that flashing light off because that's far too bright. I've also got a different microphone setup because I wasn't convinced about the microphone in the Fuji, so let's see how this goes. Today I'm talking about a pen. It's a rather beautiful pen. It's a little slimline Muji from Japan. So let's have a look at it. One thing about having a new computer setup or a new camera setup is that when it goes completely black when you turn the camera on, you do have a slight panic attack, and it's only later that you realise perhaps you should remove the lens cap. Hey ho, that's life. This is a Muji, M-U-J-I. I believe it's a Japanese brand, and it's really rather beautiful. Look at it. Plain aluminium, anodized. I think it's anodized, but it's got a sort of roughish feeling, a matte feeling, which is nice. It has this top cap with a really quite effective spring on the clip that will hold it perfectly happily in any shirt pocket. It has exactly the same diameter all the way from the top of the cap to the bottom, and that's because it's got a clever little bit of design. Let me just show you. When you take it out, there's this inner sleeve to the cap, and there's a gap around the end, so the inner sleeve just fits in there neatly so that you can post it invisibly, and it still remains absolutely parallel sided. It's a beautiful little cylinder of glory, this. So what can we say about the external looks? First of all, I do like this lovely matte aluminium. It's very pleasant in the hand, it feels nice, and it looks gorgeous. It has this separate area here which is basically the gripping section, and it's been slightly roughened up with a diamond pattern, which is nice to look at. In the top there's a little grey sort of rubbery area there. There's a sort of grey rubbery area here. You can feel it's got the sort of silicone type feel to it, or rubber feel, which I think looks quite elegant. It looks nice. And that really is about all you can say about the outside. It's just a really lovely looking pen. Pull the cap off, it's just a straight pull, and as I said, it posts superbly so that it's almost invisible. You have this knurled section, which is where you grip it, and a nib. Let's have a look and see if the camera will focus happily on this. Yes, it will. So it's a fairly simple nib. Doesn't say what size it is. It says iridium point, and it's got some scroll work on it, and really that's about all you can say about it. Obviously steel. This pen retails for under £13. It's £12.95 I think, although you'd probably then have to pay another 5 or 10 to get it posted to you, because that's the way that the internet works, isn't it? It makes it look as though everything's great, and then you have to pay money to get something done. Anyway, what is this? Let's have a look. This is the Muji Aluminium. So the nib gives a certain amount of feedback, not too much. It is a very nice feeling nib. And I also like the fact that it's stainless steel. It must be a fine, I think. Stainless steel perhaps, but there is a nice amount of line variation. So let's just look at that, eh? Now that is a nice degree of variation. Even sideways you can get some effects. This ink is Delft's Blau, from Akkerman in Holland, and I wanted to test it because Delftsblauw is a lovely pale pastel kind of blue, and it doesn't always necessarily work with fine nibs because it tends to require slightly more, I think, in the way of if you're going to get shading and depth, you normally need quite a fat nib. But I think with this nib, because it does seem quite a good gusher, it works very well. Let's just see what it has, because it is a standard cartridge converter type pen. It takes ordinary universal ink cartridges of this type, but it's also perfectly happy with, for example, a Conway Stewart cartridge converter. So it is a truly useful pen that can be used with a cartridge converter or standard ink cartridges. Now, why are these so good? Well, I know people who, for example, when they're playing with a pen in their hands, they cannot resist playing with any external mechanisms. So if you have a pen, such as my lovely Conway Stewart Model 58, some people can't help fiddling with things and playing with the lever. Some people, when there's an external cap on the end, will fiddle with that. And I know some people, mentioning no names, who have actually emptied an almost completely full pen all over their lap and tables and carpets, and other people have had to clear up after them. So for people like that, this is an extraordinarily safe pen to play with, because there's nothing on the outside that someone tapping or fiddling with it can do to damage it or to empty it. So this is a beautiful, beautiful little pen, and I don't think anyone much is going to argue with that. The question I have to say though is it a pen that I would ever buy? And the answer is no. I've been using this for the last few days. I've been testing it quite extensively, and it is at first glorious. But for me, because I will be doing pages at a time when I start writing with a pen, it's got problems. The first is, even now when it's cold, well actually possibly because it's cold, my fingers are not at their most effective. And I find that writing with this, my hand slides down that knurled bit. Now the weird thing is, they don't slide down the external bit of the pen here, but they do slide down that knurled bit. I assume because it's been polished slightly so it doesn't cut into your fingers when you're using it. But the fact of polishing it means it's actually become slippery. So it's hopeless. So I did find while writing with this that it started to get really tiring. And I did find that my hand slid down and started getting inky at the front. That's not all. I also found when filling this pen that you had to stick the whole pen quite deeply into the bottle to get it to suck up ink, which isn't a problem. But then I found that the ink remained inside this knurled section. So whenever I picked it up afterwards, again, I got ink all over my fingers. That was deeply irritating. In terms of positives, I really like the universal ink cartridge feeding system with this, and the fact it will take a converter. I really love the looks. I think the looks are superb. Very, very clean, modern and appealing. I love the way that the cap works, the way that it's got an almost invisible connection there, and when you put it at the back That beautiful design just conceals it again. Superb manufacturing quality. And I don't think you'd see this sort of quality at that sort of price point. I think that 13 quid for a pen of this design is stunning. It's pleasantly light, the clip works, it posts well. There's a lot of things going for this that make it a really useful pen. I don't like this knurled section. It soaks up ink, it makes a mess of you. The fact that there's no flaring means that your fingers just slide down. And as I say, my fingers don't slide down the bit that hasn't got the knurling. They only slide down the knurled bit with ease. Why they didn't just leave it smooth like that, I don't know. So, lovely pen, ideal for note taking, but not good if you want a pen that you're really going to be using for extended writing periods. For things like that, get yourself a TWSBI Go or anything similar. So, what do you think about that? An absolutely beautiful pen, very, very appealing, very attractive. It's quite astonishing, really. If you want a pen for note taking, where you want to make quick notes, pull it out, write, put it away again, this is pretty much perfect. For £12.95, I personally think that looks like a £60 to £70 pen. Superb looks, really clean design, fits inside a pocket perfectly safely with that clip. And I think you'd get a lot of admiring looks from other people. It looks, I think it looks better than the Mont Blanc, but I don't really like Mont Blancs, so that's not surprising. But I just think that's a beautiful design, so long as you don't want it for really long extended writing periods, because for that it's just too slippery in the hand. In the summer months it would be very slippery, in the winter now it is very slippery. So, fascinating pen. Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks a lot for watching. If you like that, don't forget you can support the channel going to Patreon. You can like it, share it, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button if you want to get notified when future videos are out. And apart from that, I'm now going to go back to that book there, which I'm finishing up, and I am going to finish it very soon because I'm teetering on the brink of the very edge. Hope it was interesting. Thanks a lot, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.